Good evening. Hope everybody has been doing well. Let's see how discombobulated we can be tonight. No, I just don't have a bunch of tabs up or anything like that. It's almost kind of pointless because there's really not a ton of headlines even over the course of the past, couple of days. Jen is here. It might be a little harder for her to see you, or it might take her a little longer to respond because she's back to using her old laptop that she had when we met. But it's being a lifesaver right now. So, however, it does sometimes take a moment for the dinosaurs to carry the data back and forth around the motherboard. So, it is what it is. This thing is like old. So I want to thank Robin for her donation, and the reason why is because that came in just in time because we have to replace the power supply in Jen's computer. So it had been giving me problems with trying to turn it on. Oh, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 days I think ago it started. And then this morning, there was no turning it on. So, it is what it is. I can't believe it, though. That power supply is not that old, like a couple of years, maybe. And it was an EVGA. I mean, it was a decent power supply. So, oh well. So, anyway, she's got a replacement on the way. I believe it'll be here Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, but she is here, and like I say, it might be a little harder for her to see the screen because it's like 2 miles away from her, and it's a little laptop screen. So, anyway, bear with her. Wow, trying to think of anything in particular that happened. I do have pretty much all of the stuff to wrap up the heater, and I'm just waiting on it to get here. And so when that comes, now what I'm going to do, I've already decided, is I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm going to put new clamps and stuff like that, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to tear the heater down. I'm going to pull it completely apart, and I'm going to make videos for the Dirt Cheap Preps channel. And I'm going to do a whole video series on these heaters. And I'm going to tear them down. I'm going to show you inexpensive alternatives to parts. So, like, literally, the temp sensors, right? About the cheapest price I can find for them is about $10 for the temp sensors. And even though you can get them for $10, which is relatively cheap, they are ultra cheap sensors. I mean, as cheap as money can buy. However, you can invest a little bit, like say another $10 or $15 at Amazon, and buy just the little bitty sensor probe that goes into them, okay? And then you can just replace that one little piece instead of the whole wire and the connector and all that. You can replace that one little piece for a fraction of the cost because you get like 5 of them for $10, right? The other thing to note is those sensors are 100 times more reliable and better quality than the cheap ones that you get when you buy the actual whole unit. Okay, I'll show you this stuff in the videos. I'll show you all about this stuff. I really wouldn't be putting my time and effort and attention into these if I really didn't think it was important. My only regret is that I didn't get started on this sooner so that folks would have a list of stuff that they needed to grab and have been able to work at it for a little bit of time. So, like I said, that will be upcoming, and there will be quite a few videos that I shoot on that. And that'll be over on the Dirt Cheap Preps channel is where I'll put that because I need to try to get stuff over there, populated over there, and try to build a following over there. Because, again, it's not that I'm trying to separate really anything other than the fact that this is news, and people don't typically type in news when they're looking for prepping. So, it is what it is. Trying to think aside from that. So, expect all that soon. I'll show you how I do my exhaust. However, when I do it, I will make sure folks know that it's probably way easier to do than what you're going to see me do it. And the reason why is it's probably way easier for you to get to the store than it is me. So you could probably walk into a Home Depot or a Lowe's or something like that, or any type of hardware, decent sized hardware store, and walk out with everything you needed in one shot for probably a lot less than it cost me. And that's because I'm stuck with like Amazon. So it is what it is. So expect that. And again, especially for people who live in apartments, man, I really do not know of a better answer. So aside from that, trying to think if there's anything else that is notable. We did watch a series, which is going to be a little bit of the inspiration from me talking. We watched a TV series. Now this TV series, well, I say TV, it was on Discovery Channel, circa 2009 and 2010. There were 2 seasons, and it was called The Colony. And before you say, oh, I've seen that, wait a minute, I don't know if you've seen this, because there's like 5 million colony and the colonies out there. This was, as they term, an experiment, to where they took a group of people, and the situation, it was a, it was a hypothetical situation that there was a virus outbreak. This is 2009, 2010. But there was a virus outbreak that wiped out a large amount of people, if you will. And so what they did is they took these individuals, they had these individuals go to a warehouse area, or an industrial, I should say, area. And they had a certain, area cordoned off, and that was their area. And what they did is they had a bunch of people in the first season. It was a bunch of experts, really, in their fields. There was a computer engineer. There was, an aerospace. I think she was an engineer, aerospace engineer. There were a lot of professionals in the group. They had a doctor. They had a trauma RN. They had pretty much the full gambit of what, I would love to have been caught in SHTF with those folks, I'll tell you that. But there was an interesting thing to really point out. Now, mind you, it's okay. Information was pretty good, to be honest, aside from a big bit of a wrong answer at the very end, episode 10 of season 1. Where the narrator was talking about batteries and stuff, how to hook up batteries, and he had said to hook up the batteries in series, and yada yada yada, and that's not the case. You want to hook the batteries in parallel. If the stuff that you're operating is 12 volts, make sure you hook that up in parallel. That means all the negatives together, all the positives together, okay? And they got that backwards. He said series, and he should have said parallel. So that's kind of important. Aside from that, and no, I'm not nitpicking, that was glaring. That was glaring. Other than that, it was pretty incredible to see the stuff that they had come up with, especially that computer engineer. Wow, that was awesome. There's actually one of the things that he did that I'm going to have to look into a little more myself, and that was the ionization of water. And he created basically a water ionizer, and that allowed them to be able to conserve on fuel. And when I say fuel, whatever kind of fuel that would mean, whether it's wood, whether it's propane, electricity, gasoline, whatever, in order to boil water to make it safe to drink, because they were on the ball. They built themselves up a charcoal sand filter to filter the water, and then initially they had propane and a little 2-burner propane stove that they were using to boil the water. They started to run low on propane, and it takes quite a bit for wood to efficiently boil water, especially when you have to boil that much. So they were looking for a better answer. Well, apparently ionization is that better answer. If you've got enough electricity to work with that you can do it, that's, from my understanding, the better answer. So I have to look into that more myself, because that sounds like a hell of a good answer. And I'm one of those guys, I don't want to be scavenging after SHTF to be able to try to find this stuff, to make this stuff. I would rather have this stuff ready to go, built, ready to deploy anytime I need. So I need to look into that. But this series was pretty good. And again, it aired on Discovery Channel 2009 and 2010, and called The Colony. And it not bad. Now, season 2, I wasn't a big fan of season 2. That was, and yes, some of it is absolutely scripted. But let me get more to my point, because nothing that I've said at this moment is my point. Beware of the prepper sheep. And what I'm talking about right now, you can go and you can look on the YouTubes and you will see a list of prepper channels given their 2022 predictions. Okay? Look, none of us can tell you what's coming. There are so many things that we are looking at. Nobody in their right mind could put a definitive finger down and say, this is it. This is the next thing that's going to get us. They better have some real good inside information, I'll tell you that. Be mindful of that, because what these channels are doing is they're just copying one another. At least, maybe not like word for word, maybe not the list or anything like that, but the whole idea, the whole concept, it's just a copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. You have to be mindful of that, because that's not the only place in their lives that they're copy, paste. Be careful, real careful of the copy, paste. Now let me go back to that series that we watched. Most of the individuals in the first season, as I stated, were professionals. But there is one guy there. One guy. And I can't say whether he was or was not a professional. But what I can tell you is he was an ex-con. He had spent, I think, 5-6 years or something like that in prison for drug trafficking. And out of all of the individuals, and I think there initially was 9 or something like that, out of all the individuals, all the professionals, and I mean these were good people. These folks were good. He was the one that became the leader. Why? Well, many reasons. Number one, being that his life had been less than spectacular, he had the upper hand on a lot of little tidbits. Everything from security to, he had a lot of discipline, and I'm not saying that this is going to be the norm with every ex-con, and I'm not saying that. But here you have a man that clearly had found his calling in that situation and did a stellar job. A stellar job. You've got a lot of groups that would have passed that dude down the road the first moment he said he was honest that he was an ex-con. Be careful of patterns. Be careful of copy-paste. Because you're the one that has to pay for any wrong decisions. And if you're just doing something because you saw 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 channels all doing it, look, these folks are running a business. And you have to understand that. Okay? Half of them lie through their teeth. One of them was going on just not that long ago, and a lot of them do, about how much time they put into their videos. Now some do, let me make that very clear. You got people like City Prepping that puts a ton of time into his videos. The problem is at this point he's become a commercial prepper. He's running around with other preppers that are copy pasters. Not really ideal. I like the guy, but I think there's a fine line between helping people and becoming commercial. And there's a lot of commercial out there. But this one cat was talking about how long it takes him, how much work he puts in his videos. And he literally shoots an unedited clip, okay, puts it in whatever video editor he uses, and adds an intro to it. I think he might add an outro too. I don't know. I'd have to look again. But he does or he doesn't. Literally, his videos, including shooting the content, probably has 30 minutes put into it. Tops. And that's a big effort. And I know people might be thinking, well, you don't do it. That's right, I don't do a whole lot. But I don't sit there and claim that I put all kinds of work into my content, because I don't. I would be lying to you. And see, I'm here to do news. And one important thing when it comes to news is credibility. And if you start seeing little lies popping around here and there, well then I have no credibility. None. So that's why I don't. Not even a little bit. You know? I don't put tons of time into my... I'm going to be doing a prepper priority video. You know my prepper priority list. If you've been around here for a while, you know my list. I'm going to do a video up specifically for dirt cheap preps, and I am going to use visuals on the screen and blah, blah, blah. But I am going to probably put more time into that than I put in most content. And that's just because I want it to look nice. I want it to be nice, clean, where people not only can hear it, but they can see it. And that's it. But it's not going to be a ton of time. It's not going to be a ton of work. I'm not going to sit there and cry to you. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. And I'm not going to write a book and try to sell it to you 1 million times per video. I'm not going to do that either. Be mindful of this. Because, man, the only 2022 prediction that I will make is that things are not going to get better. And that's the only prediction, if you will, that I feel secure to make. But I can't sit there and tell you that, oh yeah, by the end of 2022, we're going to be in a global war, and I can't tell you that. I don't know. And neither does anybody else. That's just the facts. I can't tell you that the economy's going to crash by next year. I can't tell you none of that. Why? Well, I was around for 2008, and yeah, I thought the economy was pretty damn done around then. No, they kept yanking it out of the ditch and taking it to another day, right? And what? It's just turned 2022, and they're still yanking the economy out of the ditch. I couldn't tell you the amount of times I thought there is no damn way. Well, the truth of the matter is, the economy will be done when they say it's done and not a moment before. Because they're just going to keep printing that money. And to be real honest with you, I think even if the dollar was removed from the world reserve currency, I think they'd still be able to egg it on one way or another. Because it's a magic show. That's all it is, a magic show. Right? It'll be done when they say it's done. Not a minute sooner. Not a minute later. So that throws out being able to predict the economy. Obviously, we really can't predict war. I mean, we don't know what Putin's got on his mind. We don't know what Kim Jong-un has on his mind. Iran, Israel, you know, and as I've been saying as of recently, if I see anything right now kicking off more than the other, as far as military conflict, it's Israel and Iran. Right now, it's what I see as the biggest hotspot. You would have asked me that 3 weeks ago? No. I'd have told you Russia, Ukraine in a heartbeat. So I can sit there and make predictions just like everybody else, but it's kind of foolish. Because we don't know. There are so many variables. And so be careful of that. You know? Because these predictions, let's just take all the pretty sparkles off of it. They're bullshit. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now, I don't know about you, but when somebody bullshits me or tries to bullshit me, I don't think of that as a good relationship. That's whether I'm watching a YouTube video or that's whether I'm talking to somebody in person. It doesn't matter. When I recognize people are starting to bullshit me, I'm pretty well done right then. So, the difference between me and a lot of people is I have the inability to shut up because I call it out. That's why I'm not a super loved person. But anyway, it is what it is. I think if more men were men, the world wouldn't be where it is today. And I think that's one thing. And when I say men or men, women too. We all need to, it's not a gender thing. We all need to stand firm. All of us. And that includes calling out the bullshit. Instead of just enjoying the entertainment value, call out the bullshit. Time's ticking down. Now, whether we hear that final clunk or what I'm calling the final clunk, I'm not talking about the end, but whether we hear that final clunk into full-blown SHTF in 2022, 2023, I don't know. The only prediction that myself or anybody else could possibly honestly make is that we don't see things getting better. Now that's not really much even of a prediction. That's just a collection of knowledge and You've got fertilizer prices. for agriculture that are just going through the roof right now. I'm sure you've heard about it. Tons of channels have talked about it. Yep, that's going to cause food prices to go up. As you know, we're having larger and larger energy crunches due to ignorant policy, and that in itself is going to drive up fuel costs, and that is going to drive up everything from electricity to shipping to you name it. So these are all things that I think we can safely say aren't going to magically just turn around in 2022. I think that they're going to continue to remain bad, and I think they're going to worsen. I see nothing to turn this stuff around, especially and including our administration. We've got, and I have to laugh or I'm going to crack. We've got 2 more years of this administration. 2 more years. How much further down can the United States go? And I'm not blaming everything on, that's not what I'm doing. But you can't throw boneheaded on top of a bad situation and expect to come out smelling like a rose. And so far, for 2 years, that's what we've been doing. Bonehead, bonehead, bonehead. I can't expect anything to be different for the next 2 years. And again, I'll repeat, I don't know how much further down we can go. We can't predict when SHTF, and I mean the full-blown, because I'm in full agreement with Bear that we're already in SHTF right now. You know, SHTF isn't one big cliff at the beginning and you're just falling. I mean, it could be, but it never in history has happened that way, really. I mean, even if you want to go back to biblical history with Noah, the water didn't just fill the earth in a matter of moments. It rained, and rained, and rained, and rained. You have to think of it that way. It's raining right now. In the SHTF world, it's raining. And it's going to continue to rain. And that's the only remotely accurate and honest prediction that we can give, is that it's going to keep raining. And that we need to keep building that ark. That's just the truth. My hope for those that are getting involved into prepping and whatnot, my hope for 2022, I don't do the whole resolution wish thing. My hope is that eyes will be opened. Do not put entertainment over information. Try to focus on the information. There are a slew of small YouTube channels out there that are incredible, that deserve your time. And I'm not pointing to myself. I said good YouTube channels. There are a ton of them. And they want to help you. They want to teach you. They want to encourage you. Profit is nowhere near a motive for them, at least not yet. See, I think that changes a lot of times. I don't think everybody gets into it with the idea that they're going to make a fortune. But sometimes when you get just big enough and start benefiting just enough, then it's not so uncommon for the human mind to be like, well, I'll just do this. Just a little bit of this, and I'll get a little bit more. And then they just keep doing that. And then next thing you know, it's a commercial prepper channel. So it just happens. It just happens. There's not a whole lot of people really that can resist temptations like that. The only reason I can is because of the Father. And I keep asking, and nobody can give me an answer yet. Which one of the disciples had all the riches? Which one of the disciples had all the blessings and all the money, all the whatever they could dream of? Which one? None of them. In fact, part of the deal was, in the very beginning, when they were to follow Yeshua, Jesus, for those, I refer to him as Yeshua, was that they had to give up all those things. Huh. Interesting. So, I can't. I mean, I cannot, because that would be going against the Father's wishes for somebody that is truly trying to follow. See, there's a lot of religions that get this and that, and you know how, say, a Catholic priest isn't supposed to have a bunch of possessions? At least I know that's what the rule used to be. That's why. Now, they use loopholes. The church just owns everything. They still have real nice parishes with their lavish things in many cases. I know. I did pest control, and I had a bunch of churches and parishes and whatnot that I had accounts with. And believe me, I know. Very, very nice. Some of them, wow. But so that's kind of a loophole that is used sometimes to get around that. But the Father's not a big fan of that loophole thing. I know, I even try pulling them myself. So, hey, I'm human. We're all human. I always tell people to be mindful of motive. That's very, very important. Really don't know what else. By the way, that series, I'll repeat it again, Discovery Channel, it aired 2009, 2010. It's called The Colony. And, I think Amazon Prime, you can pay for it or whatever. It magically appeared on my hard drive somehow. Both seasons, and yeah, it happens. But I think you can get it Amazon Prime. I think you can rent it right now or whatever. I'm not 100% sure. Let me check. I hate to tell you guys something, because it is really good. I thought so. It's 2021, 2013. Aha, The Colony, Season 1. Yes. And it would, I don't have a description. Isn't there a way to buy it? Discovery Plus. Season 2. I don't know nothing about this Discovery Plus stuff. I have no idea. It's on there, though. The Colony. It's the name of it. Like I say, 2009. Starring Tom Beers. That's spelled Thom. I don't know. Don't know what else to tell you. I can give you a link. But, I thought there was a place where I didn't see. Well, I'll try to give you a link if I can find the right window. Hey, there you guys are. There you go. There's a link for it. I don't know nothing about Discovery Plus stuff or anything like that. But I think that'd show you at least what it is or whatever. You'll be able to get whatever information from that to be able to find it. But again, not bad. Remember it. I will tell you straight up. It is clearly, on some levels of scripted. But it's not bad. What I would say focus on would be the solutions that they come up with, because these folks were on the ball. Season 1, I wouldn't, I don't know if I'd waste so much time on Season 2. It wasn't nearly what Season 1 was. But they're really on the ball on Season 1. Some of the solutions they come up with are just pretty incredible. And I think it's also interesting to see how the one guy that most people would consider the least trustworthy was the one that ran the show. So, and he did a good job. And again, I'm not saying that would always be the case or anything like that, but don't be caught up in the copy-paste, and don't necessarily believe what society tells you about what you should think about people for whatever reason, okay? It's no secret I've got 2 teeth in my head, alright? Now, it's not from meth. It's from genetics, mainly, and a bad soda habit years ago. So, between the two, my teeth are gone. I've got 2 teeth in my head, right? Now, you probably wouldn't be able to tell me much from a meth head, to be honest, as far as my mouth, okay? How many people would pass over that in a heartbeat, right? Now, you guys don't get to see my mouth. You guys have been able to hear me talk since 2014. Do I sound like a meth head? Clearly not. So, don't judge books by their cover. Don't judge a man or woman for life by their past. All these things break that mold. Break that copy-paste mold that you keep hearing over and over and over. Be careful of that copy-paste, I'm telling you. It's, blanket solutions for problems are never a good idea. Never a good idea. Really kind of all I have on that topic. As Forrest Gump would say, that's about all I got to say about that. I don't do impressions. I can't even impersonate myself. That's pretty damn bad. Yeah, I can impersonate Blue. That's pretty much, that's the long and the short of it. Much of the day is... I mean, it's not like there's humans that pick on her or nothing like that. I mean, nothing like that. Oh, yikes. Hang on. Got a headline I'm throwing out there to the wolves. And we'll go ahead and get started on headlines. I didn't bring stuff up, and the reason I didn't bring stuff up is because there just really wasn't that much stuff. I figured I could take a moment and talk about the things that are there. So, let me bring that up top. Okay, let me get Vidger switch now. Look over. Said death was up 40% in working age 18 to 65. Any idea what the claim is? What? Because I'm telling you right now, there's so many numbers and statistics flying around about this, that, and the other thing. I mean, the claims are wild. Let's see. Yeah, let me scooch the chat over here, and I'll have me a couple of vapes real quick. Yeah, it's kind of been a quiet. We didn't do nothing. We did stay up. I was gonna ring in the apocalypse, but it didn't happen. I was like, damn it! I even had my flashlight at the ready. Okay. Probably compliancy data, Hexafoos. Compliancy data? Would that be accurate? But yeah, nothing much. We had some neighbors somewhere lighting off fireworks, but not a big deal. So, which I when I say that, it actually is. We really haven't. Most of the time, there's not a whole lot of ruckus on New Year's around these parts. But I think this year was a little different because I think people were ready to make some ruckus. So I think a lot of people were looking forward to closing out 2021. Although those right on. I don't know which direction you're going, though, when you say CDC data. Are you saying as a result of Omicron or as a result of provided solutions for Omicron? the solution or the soluter? Which, hell, I'll make up words. I don't care. It's 2022. Webster's, get on it. Soluter. Anyway, yeah. So I think a lot of people were ready to put it to an end, but I think a lot of preppers realize that maybe wishing to go into 2022 may not be so wise, and I don't think it is. When I say that, because I do not think that's the only prediction I'll make, is I think things will continue to go downhill, and that's because I don't see any way they can start to crawl uphill, to be honest. I just don't. Only 35%. Interesting. Yeah, I'll tell you, I think a lot of numbers are going to come out over time, and it's yikes. I know I wouldn't want to be among a certain group of individuals when those numbers start to show. So, let's see. All right, starting out with Friday, and like I say, we don't have a ton because, there just wasn't that much. Not even over the course of, 2-3 days. Let's see. Non-whites to receive priority for limited COVID pill. Of course, this is New York State. Paris imposes new curbs in light of Omicron surge. COVID deniers fooled by BBC crisis actor. Let's see. Minister reveals source of EU weakness amid 2021's many crises. Oppositionists should be stripped of citizenship, says the Russian government MP. I'll tell you what. For a while there, I was cheering Russia on because it was almost like they were defending freedom more than even we were remotely defending it. But then all of a sudden they made like a U-turn, and it's like they're going right back to what it was. It's kind of scary to watch. By the way, it's happening in our country as well. But I mean, it's scary to watch it happening in Russia because I was alive when that wall came down. I knew what that meant for those people. And now it seems like they're so quickly going right back to it. Prison guards cleared over Epstein suicide falsification. Wow, I can't speak. That's mind-blowing to me that they can just be that quickly, that easily just, not them. No. It's all good. Right? But, the Maxwell trial's done and over, so it's not surprising. U.S. shooter's novels contain spoilers of his future real murders. Well, that's not going to be real good in court. IKEA to hike prices by nearly 10%. It is IKEA, so I wonder if they're going to give you a discount on the tools to put the crap together. Or at least a discount on the glue to put it back together. Russia keeps stockpiling gold and foreign currency. Let's see. Oh, that was actually a good article, but it's not a news headline. Poll on most popular books reveal a surprising trend, and that is that books about Trump are pretty much the most popular books. So that would be what I like to call the Howard Stern theory. If you haven't saw the movie Private Parts about Howard Stern, I'm referring to that. They had realized that he was being watched so much, but they were looking at the data, and he was actually being watched more by people that didn't like him than what he was being watched by people that did like him. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking we're seeing a little bit here. So I dubbed it the Howard Stern theory. Let's see. Israel boosts long-range strike capability with U.S. deal. Former Reagan advisor reveals why she is getting a Russian passport. International flights to and from Britain sees enormous drop. A psychoactive drug could help troops with PTSD, a UK general says. No kidding. They've only been working with things like mushrooms and, MDMA, stuff like that for how long now? And they know that it has extremely positive effects on things like PTSD. It has really good effects on things, some of them on things like Alzheimer's and other types of disorders. It's crazy how they keep inching this along, right? But they'll give us stuff like they're giving, for like viruses that are going around right now and stuff. They'll give us those type of things for those type of things, but they won't let us have all natural stuff that is proven more and more to be effective. Oh, no, that's a major crime to heal yourself. Let's see. Women-only beach zone scrapped just hours after opening. Again, this is Friday's news. London records worst year for teen homicides. World Athletics president dismisses meaningless Beijing boycotts. The world faces largest species extinction since the dinosaur era, the WWF warns. I like the World Wrestling Federation. Oh, no. Wildlife. I'm kidding. Europe falling into trap of green energy policy, an expert says. Putin makes Olympics prediction in New Year message to Z. AOC escapes to red state for the holidays amid record New York COVID cases. And I think she was pictured like just hanging out, no mask, no nothing, just, because rules for thee and, Our remote Antarctic station hit with COVID-19 outbreak. At least a quarter of Britons now eligible for Pfizer COVID pill. Mass flight cancellations persist on 2021's final day. Health agency reveals hospitalization risk from Omicron. And we'll go there. So, this is, now, this is a news article, YouTube. UK Health Security Agency has said that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is much less likely to cause hospitalization than the Delta variant. The latest data suggests the risk is 1/3 of that for Delta. So, something for you to think about. Let's see. Prince Andrew accuser seeks evidence of no sweating claim. A joke that turned the tide against Merkel's heir in German election is revealed. BBC accused of deep-seated biases against Jews. Police hunt for anti-vaxxer after video captures COVID test site raid. Ukrainian incompetence hurting Kiev's energy security, says Russia. 2022 to begin with massive meteor shower. I looked, though, over the course of the last couple of days. I went out there and I looked for a long time and I just could not see Uranus. I was looking, though. Iran rocket launch fails to put payload into orbit. I'm sorry, I couldn't. I failed to put that joke into orbit. A governor sees miracle in devastating Colorado fires, and that miracle would be, at least per this article, they hadn't heard of any lost lives. So that's what the miracle was. Putin reviews 2021 in longest ever New Year address. Xi names the new heights China-Russia relations reached in 2021. A lot of virtue signaling going on back and forth between Russia and China, or with Russia and China, I should say. Soldier arrested over ominous COVID ultimatum video to the government. I was in Germany. AOC says Republicans are mad because they can't date her. Fact checkers say that's only partially true. No, I don't. Supposedly she's like, I don't know. There's people that claim she's like really, really brilliant. Okay. But, I could probably last about 2 minutes around her. U.S. journalist says Queen Elizabeth should have died instead of famous actress. Ouch. Ouch. I won't disagree, but ouch. Outrage as Iraq War PM Blair gets knighthood from the Queen. Oh yeah, and that's notable too. We don't normally talk about entertainment whatsoever, and I didn't tweet out the news or anything like that, but that is a notable thing. Ms. White passing away at the age of 99. Wow. I was stunned, and I was actually saddened, and just that feeling. I was, frustration was part of the emotion. She was so close, and everybody was looking forward to seeing her hit 100, including me. And I'm not into entertainment. I'm not into following people like that or anything like that, but I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really big milestone from a woman that just had an amazing career. And I had nothing but good thoughts for the woman. And then when I got that news, it was a kick in the gut. Especially after the year that 2021 had been. It almost felt like an omen, to be honest. I don't know. May sound strange, but that's how it affected me. And I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into following entertainers and no. Let's see. Outrage as Iraq War, PM Blair gets knighthood from the Queen. I think I might have read that. Mall of America forced into lockdown after reports of active shooter. Again, this is Friday's news I put out. Tesla bots could become companions with unique personalities, Musk says. At least 12 killed in stampede at Hindu shrine. A judge blocks vax and mask mandate for low-income children. That was in Texas. U.S. judge resigns over racist comments towards robbery suspect. You know, there was a time where public servants, whether it be judges, law enforcement, what have you, had to show a level of professionalism, regardless. I remember I was actually an explorer, a police explorer, many moons ago. And I remember being told that. I remember being told, look, it doesn't matter how out of line they get, how disrespectful they are. You have to remain professional. I remember hearing that. I remember being taught that as a police explorer. That no matter what, above all else, you had to remain professional. And that really went to hell quick. That was yesterday. That headline. Ears itching. Alright, countries accelerate shift away from the U.S. dollar. Taiwanese leader sends warning to Beijing in New Year's speech. CNN host tries to stop colleague's drunken rant against Democrat mayor. But why? Just let him go. Give him a few more. Prison term reduced from 110 to 10 years under public pressure. This is for that truck driver in Colorado that his brakes failed on his truck. And unfortunately, individuals had lost their lives in that accident. But he was sentenced to 110 years. And I know there was a lot of people that just didn't feel right about that. I was one of them. And I still don't feel right with 10 years. Why? Because look, I don't know the whole deal. I don't know if this was neglect, if this was willful neglect of the truck's equipment, okay? But let's say that it was. Let's say that it was willful neglect of the truck's braking system. How come he's getting more time for that than what a drunk driver would get for taking out a family on some Friday or Saturday night? I don't get that. I don't get that. Italian health ministry warns fans to make sacrifices with masks. New Year's celebration in space becomes the most crowded ever. Yeah, they're really turning that into a regular old hotel up there, are they not? Economy risks overheating, says Bank of Russia. China's Mars orbiter takes selfies. I guess it had a big, long selfie stick. U.S. government asks for delay in 5G wireless deployment, says the media. And from my understanding, their request was rejected. You know things are nuts when you've got a company or companies that can do whatever they want, even if it means there's a possibility of aircraft having issues. I'm not going to go down, oh, well, when they turn on the 5G towers, that's going to activate the nanobots that they put in the water, and no. I'm not going to go down that. Again, I was talking earlier about the copy-paste prepper. People talking about that crazy lunacy stuff. You need to stay away from that stuff for your own good. It might be entertaining, it might whatever, but it's stupid. What's not stupid, out of all the claims that I've heard up until, this very point, is that it could interfere with aircraft systems. That's feasible. That's feasible. And I just think it's crazy that these companies can just, we don't care what the U.S. government says, we don't care what the FAA says, we don't care what the airlines say. We're going to do it anyway, cause money, yo. I don't know. I don't put a whole lot of stock in anything with any of this, to be real honest, because I've got my own concerns with 5G, and it has nothing to do with death rays, it has nothing to do with nanobot particles, and it has to do with, and I know they're not nanobot and all that, I know, I'm kind of making it sound more stupid than what they do, but it's pretty stupid. My biggest concern with 5G is their ability at that point to run insanely massive autonomous systems, right? Everywhere. I mean, you're talking about Skynet type of stuff. And you can transfer enough data packets through the 5G network to be able to operate that kind of stuff. That's my concern. That's my biggest concern. Because it's kind of like one of the links they've been waiting for. Right? They have all kinds of other technologies ready to go, but they didn't quite have that network connection with quite enough speed to do things on, and I'm just going to say, an autonomous level. And 5G allows for them to do so. That's my biggest concern. I can't say whether or not it would or could affect the aircraft systems. I don't know. I don't know enough of the information to do that. Or to say that. But from what I do know of it, that's my biggest concern. It's, there's a lot of people that talk a lot of crap, but they don't know nothing about it. At least I know a little bit. I know that by 5th generation, all that means is it's a much tighter, much more compact data packet that can hold much more data in a single packet than 4th generation technology, which is what the G stands for, by the way. So, oil records biggest annual gains in 12 years. Ukrainians name 9 oligarchs who dominate the country. By the way, oil recording the biggest annual gains in 12 years. Remember that when you're at the pump paying those high prices, putting all the blame on Biden? Remember that. Scientist reveals when COVID vaccine with lifelong protection might be available. Biden told to scare Russia with new sanctions. Japan to assist Bill Gates in building experimental nuclear reactor. That's all we need is old Billy Boy getting involved in in nuclear reactors. Grenade-wielding anti-vaxxer detained at New Year's celebration. He just wanted to bring it in with a bang. Huh? National hockey teams thrown off plane in a mass row. EU proposes green label for nuclear and gas. Israel doesn't need U.S. permission to strike Iran, says the foreign minister. I've talked about this not long ago, that they said this about month and a half ago. They were making this claim that, they don't need our permission, they don't need our help, they don't need nothing. And they decide it's go time, it's go time. They're reaffirming that. And like I say, right now, as far as any type of conflict is concerned, my eyes are most watching Israel and Iran at this particular moment. Again, it could change in a very short amount of time. That's why you're not going to hear me do these predictions. I don't think, you're talking about Billy? What Hexafood said? Yeah. I think he was involved in buying up some of the houses. He's been obviously involved in buying up tons and tons of farmland, nuclear reactors, medical community, of course, computers and technology. I mean, he's just a jack of all trades at this time, Don't worry, he'll buy everything for us all, and we'll all be happy, because they told us that we'll own nothing and we'll be happy. So he's just trying to help you. China's high-speed rail reaches length of Ecuador. City descends into violence and chaos on New Year's Eve. That was Leipzig in Germany. There was a lot of ruckus, serious ruckus. Country bans unvaccinated from leaving it. That would be the UAE. Assisted suicide is now legal in Austria. Blackberry phones to lose all functionality. That kind of sucks. The most important thing I learned about Blackberry is don't own one. I didn't like mine at all. But that was because that's not what I needed. I didn't need a business device. I wanted an all-around device. And as far as business devices are concerned, man, you're not going to find much better than a Blackberry. That was sweet when it came to, to use on a professional level. But that was about it. Still sad to see him go. Hundreds of vehicles torched on New Year's Eve. That was an 847, by the way. 847 cars in France. A boxing icon, Klitschko, makes Ukraine war claim. Still on yesterday's news, by the way. Protesters mourn assassinated general by burning U.S. flags. Statue of sitting president toppled and beheaded. That was in Atacamulu. I don't know. It's Mexico. Somewhere in Mexico. Tsunami of raw sewage forces beach closure. Why? Just get out there and swim. Massive explosions rock Gaza amid Israeli bombing. Police descend on massive party over COVID-19 rules. That was in the Netherlands. European country tells 6-year-old kids to mask up. A rare hail stuns tourist in all year-round resort. That was in Egypt. Okay, now we are in time for another drink of coffee. And a few vapes. I need to add a little bit, though. Stand by. I don't want to burn my wigs. I only got a little bit of juice. I got to make more juice here soon, so and it was getting pretty dry. I didn't want to burn my wicks for the last, 3-4 tanks, because that tastes nasty. Alright, suspected defector crosses into the North Sea. Again, this is from this morning, news I put out this morning. Deadliest U.S. city records most murders since the 1990s, and that, Chicago. Are you surprised? I'm not. Old Beetlejuice doing a good job up there. Parliament on fire in Cape Town. Turkish lira just had its worst year in 2 decades. French presidential contender asks Macron to take down the EU flag. Russia one step closer to reaching pre-pandemic oil output. First case of flurona reported in Israel. That would be a combination of COVID and the flu at the same time. That would be called the double suck. Heavy snowfall hits U.S. state devastated by wildfires. Airlines raise staff pay to keep planes flying. Green label for nuclear and gas is absolutely wrong, the German minister says. I would agree for nuclear. For gas, not so much. That's a pretty clean burning fuel. Yeah, I don't see what the big hubbub is about gas. But there's something about radioactive contaminated things lasting for 400,000 years that kind of doesn't sit real well with me. And yeah, I was probably exaggerating a bit, but nonetheless. Women auctioned online in India through lewd photos, says reports. That would be like unfair to buy a mail-order bride with a burqa on, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of like, you're just guessing there, right? I'm kidding. Crypto cloud wars have a winner, and it's not Bitcoin. A third of Americans ready to justify violence against government, says a poll. Disney and Boeing among the worst stocks of 2021. Anti-lockdown protest results in violence. EU flag taken down after backlash in France. Iran warns of danger if slain general's assassins go free. Police set dogs on protesters at massive anti-lockdown rally. That was in the Dutch people. Yeah, there. I'm horrible. I could call it Deutschland. We'll call it private schools in England refuse to admit transgender pupils. Fishy phenomenon as city hit by animal rain. And Texas, the storms apparently kicked up a bunch of fish out of the lakes and stuff and flung them throughout the air. They were flying fish. Bizarre neurological illness plagues young Canadians. That is interesting. That is like interesting and eerie, to be honest. I mean, you read the article, you'll know what I mean. It's time to prepare for the post-American age. That's, of course, not what our country's saying. I think it was Russia that was talking about that, and maybe China was involved in that. Twitter deplatforms Republican lawmaker over COVID misinformation. And I was about to put out a video earlier on this because I saw this headline and I'm like, because in my book, that's a big, big no-no. But then I pulled the article up, getting ready, make the video and whatnot, and it's a nothing burger. Why do I say it's a nothing burger? Because it's her personal account. her congressional account is fine. Now, if they would take her congressional account, then I've got issue. I mean, I've got issue censorship at all. I mean, don't misunderstand me. I've got issues with censorship at all. But this is really getting blown up. And I think it's being blown up on a level that's a little too much, really, because it's their personal account. I don't believe in censorship. It's wrong in my book. No matter how you look at it, it's wrong. But is it unconstitutional? I can't say that it is. You have to understand, you're talking about a politician's personal account. Now, I think it would be unconstitutional for them to ban her, deplatform her congressional account. And I also think it's unconstitutional for us that aren't public servants to be censored. But for a public servant's personal account, I don't know about that. Yes, let me grab that for you. There you be if that comes up right. Let me make sure that comes up right. I don't know why it did that. Yeah, I show it comes up right. So if you've got issues with it, let me know. Philadelphia sets all-time murder record. Manhunt launched after border guard kills 3 fellow servicemen. A Sudan prime minister resigns amid protest marred by deadly violence. Thefts of car parts quadruple across the U.S., especially catalytic converters. That's nuts. Petition to strip Tony Blair of knighthood racks up 300,000 signatures. Pentagon chief tests positive for COVID-19. That was the, I had one that I missed. But, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Trump should not be allowed to run for president again, Republican on Capitol Riot Committee says. Yeah, but Republican, it's Liz Cheney. Hold that R very loosely. But, anyway, that is the headlines. And I is going to get out of here and relax the rest of the evening. And God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I talked to somebody that sounds very interesting today. Hold up. Talked to somebody that sounded very interesting today. And I believe I'm going to be doing a little chitty chat with them on their show. And I'm going to try to get them over here, at least for a show. We still got to get some stuff set up with the Unapologetic Prepper. And I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that we do this year. So that's the only prediction I have this year, is that there's going to be much more to come when it comes to both the Watchman News channel, the website, the Watchman News website, and the Dirt Cheap Preps channel and the Dirt Cheap Preps website. I do believe, that's my prediction, that I'm going to grow the hell out of them the best I can in 2022. And not on a commercial level whatsoever. I mean, I'm actually going to get a site together where you guys can, do as you please. Forum, whatever the case, information for you to be able to get from and what have you. So, not doing any of this so I can make a ton of money and go live lavishly. So that's not ever been the intent here. So, anyway, I am going to get out of here, and we'll see it all tomorrow, hopefully. So as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. and shalom.